And now, it's time for another Dice Tower review with Tom Vasel.
Hey folks, I'm Tom Vasel, and today we're taking a look at a little game called Altitude. This is a game in which you're going to build a mountain. Well, that's pretty cool, you know, and watch out for avalanches and get animals and just build this massive mountain. Think of it like a, like a number game, almost like solitaire, where you can play a 2 on top of a 1 and a 3 on top of a 2. Something like that. You're going to be building this mountain out of cards. Mountain of Cards. It's a new TV show. Not really. Altitude. Here's how you play it. The game comes with a huge deck of cards, most of which are numbered in the top corner, and players are going to draw 6 cards, keep 4 of them, and on your turn you're going to take a single action. You're going to draw a card from the deck, and then you're going to put the card in your mountain, discard it into the center of the tail, lay this card in someone else's mountain, and you can only do that if you have an avalanche, or I guess you can put another card in someone else's. Or you can put the card in your hand and take a card in your hand and put that card on the table, and then it's the next person's turn. Or you can replace a card that's already in your mountain. So when you place cards in your mountain, so for example, this is the base of my mountain. So I have here a 15. So now I might put next to the 15 a 37. Then on top of these cards, I can put a 41. Why can I put a 41 there? Because that is taller, that is larger than both of those numbers there. Let's say, for example, I would put a 24 here next to the 37. Now on top of that, I put a cable car, because you can put a cable car anywhere. And on top of both of these, I'm going to put an 80. Of course, putting stuff on top of the 80 is going to be harder. And your bottom base, you can only have to be so long. Maybe I put a 28 here. And let's see, on top of that, I decided to put a 75. Well, that seems to be pretty foolish because not many cards that go on top of that. But look, I got a 78. And now I'm looking for a card that's higher than a 78 and an 80. And lo and behold, I find an 87. So you can see that the mountain's going to get bigger. Now, if someone puts an avalanche in your mountain, an avalanche, the only way to get rid of an avalanche is with a St. Bernard card, or you can build on top of an avalanche with one of these sky cards. That's it. You're just going to keep going and taking turns going back and through the deck, and eventually the game's going to end. At that point, the game's going to end when the discard pile, or when your pile runs out of cards, you play all the cards in your hand. At that point, you're going to look for animals. That's it. You're going to count the number of basically levels, so this is a 4-level mountain, and then you're going to add the number of animals. So I have 1 animal here plus 4, and only animals that are the 4th level or higher are going to count. So this one doesn't even count, so basically my score is 4. But if I manage to get that animal into the 4th level or higher, then each animal would count 2. Whoever has the most points is the winner. Okay, as you can see, when you make a whole mountain, it looks really nice. The artwork here is pretty neat. I like how when you put the cards on top of each other, it just has a really good look to it. You know, in fact, it's kind of bonkers that the thing looks so good, and then when you do get an animal, that kind of just looks dorky on top of the rest of the mountain. It kind of throws off the look of the whole mountain. I wish there was another way they could have done those. But the artwork's done, and the cards are great. But this whole building a mountain, this is the draw of the game, and it's the part that I think people are going to like the most. It's a very small game with just a few rules in the rule book, a couple pages of rules, and everything fits in a very small box. So the idea of Altitude works well, but it almost works well in my mind as a solitaire puzzle. Right, so essentially, I build a mountain, and I could put a higher number on top of a higher number on top of a higher number. How high should I put these numbers? I could easily put this card here, but if I wait, I might get a better number that I can then put the other numbers on top of. That works well as a solitaire puzzle. Adding a take that element of avalanches, that really kind of ruins the game right there. The game is instantly not as much fun. Yes, you can get rid of an avalanche if you have a St. Bernard, and if you get a cable car. You also might not get one of those. So you know this game feels like that in Meal Born, if you ever played Meal Born and someone gave you a flat tire and then you spent the rest of the game drawing a card to get rid of it? Yeah, bad mechanism. Bad. So if you do that and let's say you don't play avalanches on the other players and you're just like basically building your own mountain up, which is very satisfying, even then it's just luck as to which cards you get. And then the scoring is the level of mountains plus animals that are 4 levels or higher. That's not that interesting. Again, if you never draw an animal, which is very possible, you feel like you're behind the people who do. Again, and this is the problem. I mean, the company that makes these games, they are so pretty. I like how their games look, and yet it feels like they're half-baked, weren't play-tested. Because in the play-testing, I would have pointed all these things out. As it is, it's an actual published game, and all I can do now is point them out to you, the viewer, and say, oh, this game looks so pretty on the table. When I was playing it, people were walking by, ooh, that looks really good. Yes, it does look really good. Is it fun? No. I mean, it was fun for me to build the mountain. It was fun to draw cards and say, ooh, wow, ooh, I went up another level. But it's not fun in the end because it's just down to luck. So that dreadfully huge amount of luck, plus to take that of the avalanches, plus kind of a very weird rule set, like the rules were not quite clear as to what you could or could not do all the time. No, I cannot recommend this one, I'm sorry. Dice Tower Judgment, it's a pretty game at least.